The morning my bank account hit zero, the sun was shining like nothing had happened. Birds were singing outside my kitchen window. My daughter's cereal bowl was still on the table, and my phone screen showed the kind of number that makes your whole body go cold. Available balance, 0.42s for a moment. I thought it was a mistake. Then I saw the transfer history. One withdrawal after another, all leading to a name I knew too well. My brother-in-law had drained my account, and when I filed a report, my family did not call him a thief. They called me selfish. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what is right even when your own family turns against you, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs courage, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Sometimes the hardest battles are not against strangers, but against the people who expect your silence. My name is Cassian Vale, and that summer morning began like any other. I was packing lunch for my 7-year-old daughter, Noura, before taking her to day camp. Our small apartment was filled with warm daylight, the smell of toast, and the quiet hum of the old refrigerator I kept promising to replace. Life had not been easy since my wife passed away 3 years earlier, but I had built a routine from the broken pieces. I worked long hours as a delivery supervisor, saved every extra dollar, and kept one promise to myself. Noura would never feel like she had less love just because she had only one parent. The money in that account was not luxury money. It was survival money. It was rent, school supplies, groceries, emergency savings, and the small fund I had started for Noura's future. Every deposit carried a sacrifice. Skipped dinners, repaired shoes, overtime shifts, weekends missed, sleep stolen. So when I saw my account empty, I did not just see missing money. I saw months of exhaustion erased by someone who had smiled at my dinner table. The transfer name was Valen Cross, my sister Maris's husband. A man my mother always described as charming, misunderstood, and unlucky. Valen had been around our family for 6 years. Always dressed nicely, always talking big, always borrowing small amounts and promising to pay them back. When his next business deal came through, I had helped him before, not because I trusted him, but because Maris loved him and because my mother said family helped family. But this was different. He had not borrowed. He had taken. I called the bank with shaking hands while Noura sat in the living room, coloring a picture of the two of us under a yellow sun. The bank representative confirmed the transfers had been made. Using my online login from a device I did not recognize, my stomach dropped as I remembered the barbecue at my mother's house 2 days earlier. When Valen had asked to use my phone to check a message because his battery was dead, I had handed it to him without thinking. Family, I told myself, safe. By noon, the bank froze what little remained and told me to file a police report. I sat in the parking lot outside the station for almost 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel while the daylight poured over the windshield. I thought about Maris. I thought about my mother. I thought about every family dinner where I had been told to keep peace. Be patient, let things go. Then I thought about Noura asking why we could not buy her school shoes next week. I walked inside. Filing that report felt like stepping across an invisible line. The officer listened carefully, took screenshots, asked questions, and gave me a case number. There was no shouting, no drama, no cinematic thunder, just a bright office, a cheap plastic chair, and the quiet sound of consequences beginning. The first call came from Maris before I even reached home. Her voice was already breaking, but not for me. She asked how I could do this to her family, how I could involve police over money, how I could ruin Valen when he was under stress. I told her he drained my account. She said he was desperate. I told her my daughter needed that money. She said I should have come to them first. I reminded her he had taken it without asking. She went silent for a moment, then said the sentence that stayed with me for weeks. She said, "You have always acted like your pain matters more than everyone else's." By evening, my mother called. Her voice had that tired disappointment she used when she wanted me to feel small. She said I had embarrassed the family. She said Valen made a mistake. She said men under pressure do foolish things. I asked her what she would call it if a stranger emptied my account. She did not answer. She only told me to withdraw the report before things got worse. Things did get worse. The next morning, I woke to messages from cousins, aunts, and people who had never once helped me pay a bill, all telling me I had gone too far. Some said I was cruel. Some said I was trying to destroy my sister's marriage. Some said I should think about forgiveness. Not one person asked if Noura and I had enough food for the week. That hurt more than the theft. For 3 days, I went through life like a man underwater. I smiled for Noura, made cheap meals from rice and lentils, borrowed gas money from a coworker named Oren, and waited for the bank investigation. Every morning was bright and ordinary outside, but inside me something heavy kept sinking. I had always believed family meant protection. Now I realized family could also mean pressure, guilt and silence dressed up as love. Then came the first change. On Friday afternoon, my sister Maris appeared outside my apartment. Her hair was pulled back messily, her eyes swollen from crying. I almost did not open the door, but Noura saw her aunt and ran forward. Maris hugged her so tightly that my anger softened for half a second. Then I noticed the envelope in her hand. She sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Noura ate cereal every morning, and placed the envelope between us. Inside were printed bank statements, loan notices, and screenshots of messages from Velan to several people. My sister's voice was small when she told me I was not the first. He had borrowed from friends, used her credit card, taken money from her savings, and even opened an account in her name. She had hidden it out of shame. She had defended him because admitting the truth meant admitting her marriage was built on lies. But there was more. 2 weeks before draining my account, Velan had taken money from my mother too. My mother knew. That was why she wanted silence. Not because she believed he was innocent, but because she was afraid everyone would find out. She had ignored the warning signs and still pushed me to help him. I sat there, staring at the papers, feeling anger and sadness twist together. Maris cried without making noise. For the first time, she did not ask me to withdraw the report. She asked me if it was too late to add her name to it. The investigation moved faster after that. The bank traced the device. The police found security footage from a small electronics store where Velan had used part of the money to buy expensive items he later resold. There was no misunderstanding left, no family excuse strong enough to cover the truth. When Velan was finally questioned, he admitted some of it, then blamed pressure, debt, bad luck, and everyone except himself. My family's tone changed slowly, not all at once. Some people stopped messaging. Some pretended they had never judged me. My mother did not apologize immediately. She came over one afternoon while Noura was at camp, standing in my doorway with a grocery bag in her hand, like groceries could fill the hole her words had made. She looked older in the daylight, smaller somehow. She said she thought keeping the family together meant stopping the scandal. I told her keeping family together should have meant protecting the person who was harmed. She cried then, quietly, not dramatically. She said she was sorry. I wanted to forgive her right away because she was my mother. But healing does not always obey love. I told her I needed time. She nodded and left the groceries on the counter. Weeks passed. The bank returned most of the stolen money after confirming fraud. It did not fix everything, but it helped us breathe again. Velan faced legal consequences and Maris finally separated from him. She moved into a small place near Noura's school and started rebuilding her life piece by piece. Some evenings she came over and helped Noura with reading. Sometimes we sat quietly after Noura fell asleep. Two siblings who had both been hurt by the same man and by the silence around him. The most emotional moment came on a bright Sunday morning. Our family gathered at my mother's house for the first time since everything happened. I did not want to go, but Noura asked if Grandma still loved us, and that question broke something open in me. So I went, not for the people who judged me, but for the little girl watching how adults repair damage. The house smelled like fresh bread and tea. Sunlight spilled across the dining table. Everyone was careful at first, speaking softly, avoiding the obvious. Then my mother stood up. Her hands trembled as she looked around the room and said she had asked the wrong person to carry the shame. She said I had not been selfish. I had been a father. She said protecting a child's future was not betrayal, and reporting a crime was not cruelty. For the first time in my life, my mother corrected the family in front of everyone. I looked at Noura sitting beside me, swinging her feet under the chair, unaware of how much those words meant. I felt my eyes burn not because everything was perfect, but because truth had finally entered the room. Maris stood next. She apologized too, not with excuses, but with honesty. She said fear had made her defend the wrong person. She said my courage gave her permission to stop hiding. Then she placed a small envelope in front of me. Inside was not all the money. It was only a little, something she had saved from her first paycheck after leaving Velan. I tried to give it back, but she shook her head. It was not repayment, she said. It was a promise that from now on, she would stand on the side of truth. That day did not erase the pain, but it changed the ending. I learned that forgiveness is not pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness is letting go of the poison while still remembering the lesson. I learned that family loyalty does not mean protecting someone from consequences. Real loyalty means protecting the innocent, telling the truth and refusing to let guilt become a prison. Months later, Nora and I stood in a shoe store under bright afternoon lights. She picked out a pair of purple sneakers with tiny silver stars on the sides. They were more expensive than I planned, but I bought them anyway. When she jumped in them outside the store, laughing like the world had never been cruel, I felt something inside me finally loosen. The money had mattered, but what mattered more was that I had shown my daughter something she would carry forever. I had shown her that her safety, her future, and her dignity were worth defending, even when the whole room tells you to stay quiet. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support helps these emotional stories reach people who may be silently facing betrayal, pressure, or pain in their own families. And before the ending, I have one special request. Comment, "A father's love never backs down," if you believe protecting your child is never selfish. In the end, my family did not fall apart because I filed that report. It began to heal because I did. Sometimes the truth shakes the house before it saves it. Sometimes the person everyone calls selfish is the only one brave enough to stop the damage. And sometimes, under the ordinary light of an ordinary day, a father with almost nothing left can still give his child the most important inheritance of all: the courage to never let anyone steal her voice.